In previous videos, we've pretty much looked at all aspects of new Google Sites to date, knowing that this could change and some of these tools could be adjusted tomorrow. The only exception to that is this Pages tab, and this is where you go about making multiple pages on your website. So let me click that now, and you'll see that this home page is listed. That's the current page we have on our site, the first one that comes on the site. And you do have a couple of options with this. If you were to double click it, you could actually rename that. So I could rename this to, lost it there, welcome or some other such thing. Notice also that if you mouse over that on the right, you're going to get this little stoplight thing, and you can either duplicate the page, get into its properties, or add a subpage. So to duplicate a page, you simply get an exact copy. So if you've got a basic template, like maybe I've created a lesson plan template and I want to include a series of lesson plans on my site, then that's great. I've done a lot of work in setting that up. I can simply duplicate it and then swap out some of the content. This properties option simply brings you back to the page. So it's another option for renaming the page. And the only other thing it includes here under advanced is this custom path. So let's take a look quickly at how that works. So I'm going to publish my site to make sure that it's up to date. The name of my page is welcome. And if I go to view the published site now, you'll see that my path, or the URL to get to this page, is this preceding information, which is always here, this site name, and then the name of the page, which is welcome. What advanced allows you to do is simply change that path. So I'm just going to change it from welcome to home. I don't know why, but I would do that, and I'll say done. I'll publish the site again. I'll view, close the old one, the new site, and you can see that now, even though this is named welcome, even though the page is named welcome, the path to it now includes the word home instead of the word welcome. So just know that that's what it does. So that I'm going to undo it. Actually, I have no particular reason for doing what I did. So let me get that out of there, but that's an option should you need it for some reason. Okay, the last option under there is to add a subpage. So if I click add a subpage, I'll name this. Let's say that this is my site, but I'm going to have different sections of the site. One for parents, and you can see it filled in the word parents here, although I could edit that at any time if I wanted. Let me add another subpage. Students. And you can see what's happening is a menu is starting to be built here. Since parents and students are subpages of welcome, welcome will appear in a menu, but when I mouse over it, I will get access to those other pages. So I'm on students now. There I click parents, and now I'm on parents. If I click right up here on welcome, the welcome page will load. Okay, if I've made a mistake, if I feel like these shouldn't have been subpages but should be on the same level as welcome, simply grab the page and drag it to the slot just above that home page. And now you can see it's up there. I can do the same. I can drag this to anywhere. Like I'm going to put this between parents and welcome and drop it in there. And I can always take welcome and I can move that back up to the top, since that really should be the first page. And now you can see not only are these on the same level, but the menu has adjusted to reflect that. So these are contemporaries or siblings. They're at the same level, and now the menu shows that. Now I'm going to make one more. If I wanted to make it at the top level to start with, I wouldn't use this add a subpage feature. I would just use the plus down at the bottom. So I'm going to click down at the bottom, and I've got parents, students, and I'll just do teachers. Done, and now I've got a page for teachers as well. Oh, it's not in the order I want, so I'll simply reorder it. Okay, if you do want subpages, then that's great. You can just create them where you want them by using the little stoplight feature over on the right. Or if I've you know, if I want to reorganize later or I didn't get it right the first time, let's say this is going to be students welcome info. Okay, so this is when they show up in class, all the things that they should be able to see. I can always just take this and drag it on top of the page that I want to be its parent, and it becomes a subpage. So if I want, I'll add another subpage under students, and that will say September. Maybe I'm going to put their work, or I'm going to put information for them by month. So I can build that out. Now, when Google Sites was first released, you were limited to this top level and one level down, but that's since changed. Like I can come into September and I can say add a subpage, and now I can break this up, say by there you go, I'm sorry, week 1. I could come into week 1 once it got set up there, and I could say, oh, I'd like to duplicate that. What am I going to call it? Well, I think I'll call it week 2, etc. Now, if you look at my menu up at top, as it reloads, so now here I've got everything at the top level. It shows only one of these main pages. I'll collapse that using the little triangle. Only one of these main pages, and that's students, has subpages. So if I click here, you can see that I have this welcome info, which is over here, and then I also have this September, but since September itself has subpages, I can open that up further, and that's how I navigate the system. Now, when looking at this menu, I have two options. So if I click up here on the menu bar, you can see now that I've got multiple pages, a gear appears, and this is a nice horizontal menu. But if I click on the gear, I can make it side navigation. I can make it vertical as well, and that will bring it out like this and allow me to navigate around my site using the hamburger in the upper left hand corner. Okay, what you might want to do is you might want to experiment with menu options and look on a number of devices. So even though perhaps you work mostly on a computer, your students may often be accessing this from a mobile device like a phone. So give that some consideration, and you can play around. It's very easy to switch those menus back and forth. The organization, as I said here, is very simple. If I wanted to move these things around, I could simply drag them and drop them into their location by either laying them on top of something else. So if I put week 2 on top of welcome info, it would become a subpage of that. Or I can place it in between items to keep them on the same level. So I could reorder if I wanted to for some reason. I could reorder week 2 and week 1, and then in my menu it would be reordered here as well. Okay, let's look at some of the options that come with pages. So this is my welcome page, and you can see that I have limited options. But every other page I create has more options. So one is that if welcome wasn't really my home page, I could designate a different page as my home page. I'm not going to do that, but I could take this parents page and make it the home page. And what that really means is that if you come to my site and you don't designate which page you want to go to, so if the URL includes, let's go to view here, or actually let's go to view published site. This is the name of my site here. So you can see that I don't need anything after that, and it will bring me to whichever page is designated as the home page. If you want to go to any other page, it has to be called out. Okay, in addition to that, of course, we can duplicate the page. So that's a nice feature. We can go to the properties, which we've done before, which allows us this custom path if we want it. I don't see that being something we're going to use all the time. You can add subpages here. You can hide from navigation. So you can have the page but take it out of this navigation bar. And that could be useful if you were looking to control the flow of your student through the site. So if you didn't want them bouncing all around, you could simply establish a link on the page. So let me come to the students page here. and I am going to establish a link. I'm going to come to Insert and put a text box in here and go to week 1. If for some reason I didn't want them to have access to this until after they'd visited the students page, so I'll put some text up here. So I want them to read these directions. Yep, I'll spruce it up a little bit. Heading 1. I want them to come here and figure out what to do before they have the option of going to week 1. I can take this text here, establish a hyperlink, and notice now that all my pages are now available to me directly as links. So I'm going to say link 1 there. Okay, go to week 1. And then on week 1, let me reorder that just because it bothers me. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say hide from navigation. So now, let me just take page 2 and do the same thing, hide from navigation. So now under students, I have welcome in September, but I have no subpages. I come into September, or I'm sorry, I come into the welcome page. There's the welcome info, but if I come into September, I put that directly, I put this directly on students, and I probably didn't want to do that. So here, let me just cut that. I'm going to come into the September page, paste that in there. And now, you've got to come into the September page to find this information and access this link. Of course, none of this is reflected in the current site because I haven't published it yet. So what I would want to do is publish it, and then those changes that I made, if I go to the real site, I can tell by my address here that I'm on a real site. So if I come to the welcome page, now you can see I don't have direct access to week 1. Here I come to the welcome and I don't see anything there, and I come to September, and on September it gives me my information and my link to week 1. Okay, the only other option you'll have under a page is to delete it. So if you've built a page in error or you no longer need it, you can keep your site clean by simply coming in and removing the page. That option is not available for your home page because you need at least one page in the site. And I think that pretty much covers pages. With the improvements that were made in this, whereas you can nest them several levels deeper and you have more control about moving them around, this has become, Google Sites has become a very viable alternative for even sites that have quite a bit of content, because you can now control the setup and the navigation of those sites very easily.